For the rubber band helicopters, we'll need the following supplies: a ruler, popsicle sticks, paper clips, tape, scissors, rubber bands, a 6-inch propeller with a hook nose, and you can get these off of Amazon and a few other places online. Cardstock like index cards or other pieces of thick paper like thick construction paper. And it's always fun to have some stickers for decorations. All right, so for this activity, we're gonna start with our popsicle stick. So you wanna go ahead and pick out a popsicle stick? Okay, I'll take a green. And we wanna start by putting on our 6-inch propeller with a hook nose on it. So, and these actually fit really nicely on the end of our popsicle stick, just like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and add yours to your popsicle stick. Okay, so now we're going to add our paper clip. So we each need one paper clip. So go ahead and put down your propeller and stick. And what we're gonna do is we're going to open up our paper clip to make a V, just like this. So let me see yours. Okay, now we're going to attach this, but not quite like that. We're gonna attach it to our popsicle stick, but we wanna tape it such that the big end, you notice how there's two sides to the paper clip, a big and a small. We wanna put the big end so that it's behind the paper clip and such the little end sticks out. This is actually where we're gonna be connecting our rubber band later, so that it's gonna connect between the hook nose of the propeller and this part of the paper clip. So we're gonna use tape to fasten our paper clip to the popsicle stick. Now sometimes this part can be a little tricky, and you might need a little help from an adult to do this. I like to start by just wrapping, I hold it with my finger like this, Ben. So I hold like this, and I place my tape here, and then I just slowly wrap it nice and tight around my popsicle stick, like this. Very nice. Good job. Okay, so this is sort of the body of our helicopter. And we're gonna use rubber bands as a motor for our helicopter. But without this next piece, we won't get any real flight, because we can wind our motor and it'll spin, but the popsicle stick will just spin with it. So we need to add something to add what we call drag to the helicopter. And drag is simply just air friction created by different things. In this case, we're going to be using paper to create drag for our helicopter. And that's where the index cards or other cardstocks pieces come into place. So for this, you really want something, and this is where we need our ruler too, that is about 6 inches, between 6 and 6.5 inches long, and about 1 to 1.5 inches wide. Now, you could just use a square, similar to the one I have here, or you can draw and create neat shapes to make it look like it's an actual helicopter. Or in this case, maybe it's butterfly or fairy wings. So which kind of shape do you want to use for yours?
I'm gonna use a helicopter.
You're gonna use a helicopter? Here, so you can go ahead and cut out your shape. And for mine, I think I'm just gonna cut just a rectangular shape. So this is about exactly 6 inches, and I want it to be about 1.5 inches wide. So be about that line right there. Now, for my piece of cardstock that I'm adding for drag, I can make this pretty symmetrical in terms of weight when I place it on here, right? I can just put it in the center. But what about yours? If you did yours directly in the center, would you have about the same amount of weight on either side?
No, because this has stickers, so then it would be uneven.
It would be heavier on this side than it would be on this side, and it might cause it to tip. So when you're placing yours, how do you think you're gonna make the weight even on both sides?
I'm gonna put a little more on this side.
Good idea. That's perfect. So one thing we have to be careful to do, so we want to attach our paper piece to our popsicle stick. However, we don't want to make it way up here high, close to the top of here and to the hook itself. Why do you think that's probably not a good idea?
So the rubber band doesn't get stuck on it.
Right, so up here is where the rubber band piece is going to be, and if we put it up too close, we could cause friction between the rubber band and the paper. So we want to go down just about maybe like a ½ an inch there. When we are attaching it. Also, when you're attaching it, make sure that you tape it such as the paper's on the side opposite to the one where the paper clip's sticking up. So I'm going to put it behind here just like that. It's also important that you make sure that not only that it's centered for weight, so its center of gravity is balanced, but we also don't have it crooked compared to the propeller. We want it to be fairly parallel to the propeller. Now for our motor, we're going to be using rubber bands, and we each need 2 rubber bands. Now picking your type of rubber band is kind of important. In fact, you might want to test out different types of rubber bands to see what works best. You don't want those that are too tiny because they need to hook between the hook nose of the propeller and down here to my paper clip. Down like that. All right. Now, before we practice winding them, let's decorate our wings here a little bit. So do you want to put some stickers on yours? Now, building the rubber band helicopter is probably the easiest part of this project. The harder part is learning how to make it fly. And this is one of the things that you're going to have to practice at to get better at. But once you've got it down, these can fly several stories into the air. And it's another reason why this is an outside project instead of an inside project. Okay, so to get our helicopter to fly, we will be turning it anywhere between 50 to 80 revolutions in a clockwise direction. Now, there's a bit of a compromise here as you're trying to get your helicopter to fly. The more we turn our rubber bands, the more energy we're adding into it, and potentially the higher we get it to fly. But what happens if I turn it too much, Ben?
The rubber bands will probably snap.
The rubber band will snap, right, and that could hurt you or me. Sometimes it also pulls off the paper clip from the bottom because there's so much tension there. So I've done this so many times that I can feel in the tension when it's about time to stop, but that takes some practice to do that. There's also a trick to flying it. And again, remember, we do this outdoors. This is an outdoor project. We also, before we fly our helicopter, we need to look for a couple different things. So first, we want to make sure that there's no one standing right around us that could get hurt. And it's best to do this away from trees, power lines, and rooftops because once you get good at it, they will go high enough to get stuck in all of those, and we don't want that to happen. So you want to find a nice open space to do that. You want to turn it and do it away from long hair. What could happen with long hair?
It could get caught in it.
It could get caught in your hair, and that wouldn't be fun either. And you also want to do it away from your eyes. So I always hold it away from myself and from others like this. Okay, then the last thing, once you know everything's safe and you're ready to do it, you are going to do 2 things. You're going to let go with your top hand first, either by holding it like I am or like Ben is by holding it at the propeller. And then you let go with the bottom hand. So I'll do it first. Ready? And we do it pretty quickly from one another. In fact, I like to say to myself, tick tock. And when I say tick, that means I let go of the top hand. And when I say tock, I let go of the bottom hand. Ready? You want me to try it first? Ready? Tick tock.
Tick tock.
Good job. This is a fun project to test different shapes and see how it affects the flight of your helicopter. So you can use a standard rectangle like we have here. You could make something that looks more like a butterfly or a fairy wing. we made one that looks like a helicopter. I've also seen some that look like Batman wings. So get creative with your helicopter and try some different shapes and see how it affects the flight of yours. Rubber bands are elastic. To say that something is elastic or has elasticity means that it returns to its original shape after being subjected to strain. Now, most solids have a little bit of elasticity, but they also have what is known as an elastic limit. So if I pull on my rubber bands too hard and I surpass the elastic limit, it'll break. When I pull back on my rubber band, I'm storing a lot of energy in it. We call this stored energy potential energy. When I let go, that potential energy is converted into motion. The energy of motion is also known as kinetic energy. With our helicopters, we're using potential and kinetic energy in a slightly different way. So in this case, we're turning our propeller and we're storing energy, potential energy, in the rubber band. When I let go of the propeller, it turns. The propeller is designed in such a way that as it turns and as it turns fast enough, it can actually cause lift as it pushes air downward and takes the helicopter up into the air. Now, if I didn't have this piece of paper here, as I let go of the propeller, the popsicle stick would actually turn with the propeller too. And it would just sort of make a lot of noise right here in front of me, would never fly into the air. This piece of paper adds another important piece of the puzzle to our helicopter. As I turn this and let it go, this piece of paper will also try to turn with the popsicle stick, but it's creating what we call drag. Drag is air resistance. And because there's more air resistance against the popsicle stick, all of the energy from the rubber band is put into the propeller instead. The more energy we put into our propeller, the more air it forces downward, and the more lift and thus height we have for our rubber band helicopter. Let's give it a try when I wind it up really tight. Tick-tock. There you go. I hope you liked our project today, and I hope you try some neat innovations to make your rubber band helicopters even better.